did it just go off? Ladies and gentlemen, okay, we're live. Everything's coming through. How is everything, Kujarai? Is it anything laggy or is everything working well? We are in Mexico. Oh my! Let me make sure I'm still live here. What am I watching the debate on? This is live on KTLA 5. I'm watching it on KTLA 5 on YouTube. It starts in 5 minutes. As a former California native, I am personally invested in this debate. Voice is a little delayed. Yeah, that probably tracks. Probably not on the best internet. Hopefully it improves. Let me see. Testing. Let me see how it looks on. Also pull off on this. Let's make sure everything's working. Testing. What's good? What's good? Okay, everything going through. Can you guys see this? Is audio okay? We're testing a stream in a new location. Okay, sweet. All right, well, this debate's happening in just literally 2 minutes. There's 6 people going here, and there's also 4 live mentions for all the candidates. We got Steve Hilton, Chad Bianco, Katie Porter, Tom Steyer. I think something that's going to be pretty cool to watch, honestly, I'm going to be pretty dialed in to the mention. Oh, voice is very delayed. But the odds going into this right now, Xavier Becerra and Tom Steyer are pretty neck and neck. And for anyone that hasn't been following this race, oh my gosh, they're already starting here. But Swalwell dropped out.
Now, for the first time, the new leading candidates square off. And who will separate themselves from the pack? A Republican, Steve Hilton.
It's going to be hard to focus on anyone, Noah, but in terms of like the mention, I've looked most at Steve Hilton. It's pretty hard to be able to look at all 4 of these in time. I did pull a lot of data on all 4, but like it's a lot of mentions. But I do have some positions on Hilton. I'm mostly for debates like these where there's going to be multiple people talking. It's pretty risky taking yeses. So I'm mostly on some cheap no's on like Hilton. Some more expensive, Florida, Texas, billionaire. Some yeses on regulation and Democrat. Based on historicals, he hits those at a pretty high frequency. I have this kind of lower, but this is going to be crazy with Swalwell out. I'm most curious on like if there's going to be any big movements that's going to actually impact the odds. Personally, the only person I don't want is Katie Porter. I just don't like Katie Porter. I probably like Matt Mahan the most. I mean, I don't know. All the VC bros like that guy. He's going to get a ton of funding. If I had to project anyone that's going to probably do really well from this debate, it's going to be Matt Mahan. Okay, here we go. They're already getting started. Holy cow. They're literally going right in. Yeah, I am from California, so this means a lot to me. Katie is a Karen, yeah. All right, let me turn this up. Here we go.
Our first topic tonight is the cost of living in California.
Living,
that includes
oil and
the high
gas,
cost
for sure.
of gas.
Wow, yeah,
we
there's
pay
gas
one of the
right
highest
there.
gas
Who's gonna take
taxes
this
in the country, about
question
61 cents per gallon. That money goes to pay for road repairs and public
Let me make
transportation.
sure you guys can see this.
Mr. Steyer, the first question of the
Steyer,
night goes
first
to
one.
you. Should we cut
Gas
the gas
already
tax? You
bonded.
have 60
Boom.
seconds.
Let me say that the reason that gasoline is so expensive, that our president, Donald Trump, has started an insane
Trump
war
already?
in Iran and driven up the cost of gasoline
Wow.
for everybody in California. That has put $70
Makes a lot of
billion
sense they're leading
into the
with
pockets
gas.
of the oil companies who actually put him in the presidency. Californians are suffering across the board. The biggest problem in California is that the Californians can't afford to live here anymore. The answer on this is not to give up the gas tax, but actually to have a windfall profit tax on the oil companies who have been ripping us off for decades. That's on the books. We can activate it right away. We can get the money, and we should send it directly back to California citizens. The problem we have here is a president who's out of control, who's driving up costs across the board, and we actually need to take on the special interest oil companies who are taking advantage of Californians and making $70
Wow, so
billion
no opening
more
statements,
because
by
of
the
this
way.
war.
Mr.
Interesting.
Steyer, thank you.
Just
Ms.
answering
Porter,
your questions.
what is your position on the gas tax? You have 60 seconds.
Affordability is not a buzzword for me. It's been my life's work, sitting across from families who have been pushed into bankruptcy by bills they couldn't pay, helping families avoid foreclosure or eviction when they were cheated by subprime lenders. It is too expensive to live in California, and I get that. I'm a single
are
mom
no
of 3. I
guarantees
push a
in this
shopping
debate.
cart and I fill up my minivan, which
Oh, wow,
has
no
nearly
opening remarks.
180,000 miles on it. I absolutely feel these pressures, and I think we need to do something about it. But I also want to be clear, 82% of Californians don't breathe clean air today. And when we look at what that's costing our healthcare system, what that's costing
Wow,
people,
she
we have
weaves
to
oil,
continue
gas,
to make
gasoline
investments
so far.
in having the cleanest fuel that we possibly can.
Fuel
so I
instead of-
absolutely think we ought to be thinking about how to move away from
Oh, here it
fossil
is.
fuels, and that means
Wow.
moving away from a
You-
gas tax
Oh, gas.
and
Here it
replacing
is.
that with the general fund
All right,
taxes.
finally.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, you support temporarily suspending
Mahan?
the gas tax. Some, including the candidates on the stage tonight, have called that proposal unserious. What's your response? You have 60 seconds.
Well, Nikki, Frank, it's great to be
This
here
is my
with
guy,
you
by
this
the way. I
evening.
like
I'm the only
Mahan.
candidate on this stage who has called for suspending the gas tax and reforming
Oh, there's gonna be
it
homeless
so
questions
it no
for sure. Who
longer is
should
the
I?
most regressive tax in California that's putting an undue burden on working families like the one I grew up in. Look, I'm in this race because
guy
we
is so
deserve
so good
better
speaking
answers.
wise.
We deserve better answers than we've
mean,
been getting from the
I almost
other
like him at 10
candidates
cents,
on
even though
this
I
stage.
don't really
We
do
don't need a
politics
billionaire
usually.
who made his money in private prisons and oil and gas that
Wow,
he's
so
now
he starts
supposedly
attacking
against, or Trump's
Steyer on being
handpicked
a
candidate
billionaire,
or
by
a
the way,
DC
already.
insider who the Sacramento establishment is now rallying around.
But Katie
me
weaved
tell you who I
billionaire
am.
already in the beginning on affordability.
I grew up in Watsonville.
I mean, and there's no opening
Working
remarks.
class family. My mom
Oh,
was
there was
a teacher.
so much
My
available up
dad
to
was a
18 on
union
no billionaire.
mailman.
Should've clicked more.
I know what it means when gas prices go up $1 or $2
This is gonna be 90
unnecessarily.
minutes, by the way,
I'll
so we're just
reform
getting
the
started.
gas tax so it's no longer the poorest, hardest working people in our state who are paying an unfair share to maintain our infrastructure.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Frank.
Mr. Becerra, you have said you don't support
Becerra's
suspending the
tied
gas
for
tax. Why?
front
You have
runner.
60 seconds.
Frank, we need to make sure our roads, our highways, the potholes, we take care of business because every day people get in their cars, they take transit, they need to get to work, they need to come home. The last thing they need to see is a infrastructure for roads and transportation that doesn't work. I remember when my parents would tell me the stories of when they came with $12 in their pocket. They had to make a life here. They needed to make sure California could work for them. Let's make sure Donald Trump is not starting reckless wars to keep the prices of gasoline down. By up to $2 a gallon, we could reduce the price if that war in Iraq that Donald Trump started would go away. My
Iraq?
parents
Oh,
looked at
bad
things
mistake.
like this and said, hey, help me
Iraq
make a
over
living
Iran.
here in California. That's why they were
anyone
able
caught
to, at
that.
the end of the day, send my 3 sisters and I to college, buy a house, make it so that they could retire here in California.
Is anyone
We
gonna
need to bring
clip
down those
saying,
prices, but we have to do it the right way. I'll make sure as governor I tackle these crises because I've been through these crises before and had to handle them. We need someone with experience, someone who doesn't need on-the-job training the moment they get into the governor's office.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, you have said you want the total elimination of the gas tax. How would we fund roads and bridges? You have 60 seconds.
So funding roads and bridges is
Yeah.
a fundamental responsibility of government. We need to get rid of the rest of all the waste, fraud, and the abuse of the rest of government, which all of the Democrat policies over the last 20 years, 30 years
Democrat
have
right
created.
off the bat.
We only have the highest gas price in the country because of Democrat policies that are
Wow.
absolutely destroying the
Gas
oil
was so
industry,
cheap
the
on this guy
automobile
for some
industry,
reason. I
and
should've
forcing
looked.
those prices up, forcing our refineries out of the state, forcing our oil companies from drilling in our state. When you send oil, make it into gasoline and send it to across state lines and it miraculously becomes $2 cheaper, you know that your state is the problem. It is Democrat policies for the last 20, 30 years that are driving the cost of not only gasoline, but the cost of living in California up. We have the highest cost of living in the country because we have had one party, Democrat progressive rule for decades that is destroying this state.
Mr. Bianco, let me ask clarification one more time. How would we fund roads and bridges if you eliminate the gas tax? You have 15 seconds.
We eliminate all of the waste, the fraud, and the abuse that's going on where our money is being spent now. The number one responsibility of government is public safety. Number two
Safety.
is infrastructure. And if you look at where California spends its money, infrastructure is way down the line. Don't
right.
say that the gas tax is funding
Mr.
our roads
Bianco.
because we have the worst roads in the entire country.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, you support permanently cutting the gas tax in half.
Let's see
and
if he's gonna get
eliminating
Democrat
carbon
right
climate
off the bat.
policies.
Oh, climate?
With a supermajority of Democrats in the legislature,
Environmental
how would you,
angle.
as a Republican governor, make any of these changes into law? You have 60 seconds.
We have to make these changes because Californians are being crushed by the gas prices, by the gas tax. We have the highest gas tax in the country for the worst roads in the country. And across the board, we have the highest taxes for the worst results. And you know who's really suffering? It's working Californians. It's small businesses. Most
is
of
this
my
a
career has been in
billionaire?
business.
Okay, no.
I know what it's like to try and run a business. The costs that are being imposed on our businesses and on workers in California is just too much. And one
Doesn't
way or
really
another,
have a good
all
name.
the Democrats here
Democrat.
are part of this
Yeah.
system that obviously
That felt like a
isn't
bond.
working.
Crazy
we
was
need
at
common
90.
sense solutions. We need practical solutions. Why are we importing oil from 7,500 miles away in Iraq rather than using the oil we have here in California? That's the kind of common sense change that, as governor, I will be there to persuade the legislature to do,
Kind of a
because
bad
they, in the
answer
end, want to
from
help
Hilton.
Californians too.
And just to clarify the question again, how would you, as a Republican governor, make any of these changes into law with a supermajority of Democrats? 15 seconds.
The first point is that to open up California oil production doesn't need the legislature because it's through executive action. The way that they've been closing it down is through an agency of the executive branch called CalGEM, the California Department of Geologic and Energy Management. I would replace the people in there and give them a clear instruction to issue permits to our oil industry to produce oil
Hilton,
here in California
that was 15
so we can
seconds.
cut gas prices for California families
All
and
right.
businesses.
Thank you very much, Nikki.
This next
Okay.
question is a
I
follow-up
don't know.
question. It is
Not the
for
best
all of you.
answer.
Should electric vehicle drivers pay a mileage-based road tax to fund infrastructure? Mr. Steyer, we'll start with you. You have 30
Electric
seconds.
cars? Steyer?
So let me say this. I think it is critical that California get off fossil fuels. Electric vehicles, starting cost is too high, and I would triple the credit so that people can afford to buy electric vehicles and no longer be subject to the fossil fuel costs and the fossil fuel control. Should they be paying the equivalent of a gas tax? Yes. But the truth is, electric vehicles are cheaper. That is our future, and we need to move to it as fast as possible.
Mr. Steyer, thank you.
climate.
Ms. Porter, same question to you. You have 30 seconds.
I think all taxes should be progressive. The very wealthy, the billionaires, should
Oh,
pay
there's
more.
billionaire. Wow.
The problem with a gas tax or a vehicle's mild travel
looked
tax
live and
is that
then-
it does the opposite. It punishes the lowest
Crazy she
income
wasn't hitting
Californians,
billionaire that
those who
often
have the
in,
longest commutes
some of
to
her
work
previous
and can
speeches.
least afford fancy vehicles. So I think it's important that we fund
But
this, as
with
I've said,
all of this
out of the general
Mamdani,
fund.
Bernie
We do
speeches,
need to
it's
move
like,
toward
are
electric vehicles
Democrats
over time.
moving
But the
heavily
reason they're
against,
not getting
like,
purchased
this billionaire
isn't
language?
range anxiety, it's pocketbook issues.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, same question to you. You have 30 seconds.
I would reform the way we're funding infrastructure by issuing a flat fee on all vehicles, whether they're EVs or gas powered. Right now, gas powered families, disproportionately lower income families, people living in rural communities
Yeah,
are
just
paying
recently.
3
Yeah, it's
times
probably a
more
tone
to maintain
change.
our roads.
Like, I feel like
the way to achieve our climate goals
Democrats
is to
are
invest
pushing
in innovation,
more populist,
infrastructure, smart
similar
targeted
to kinda
subsidies,
compete with the
not
Trump
to punish
populism.
working people who can't afford an EV.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra,
This-
same
that guy is
question
so
to you, and I'll
funded
repeat
by,
it. Should electric vehicle drivers pay a mileage-based road tax to fund infrastructure?
All the
You have
VCs
30
I know
seconds.
love that guy, that Mahan guy.
Well, let's think about our commuters and what they would want to see. I know that they want to see roads, bridges, highways that work for them, that let them get to work, that let them pick up their kids. They don't want to have potholes that ruin their vehicle tires and wheels. They want to have roads, bridges, highways that work. So I would say, let's take a look at all of the above. Whatever works. I'm not going to let our transportation infrastructure crumble. We have to make sure it's working for all of us. And so let's consider anything that works that the public can get behind. That's how I would do it.
Specifically, though, just to clarify
what is
here,
that answer?
would you support a tax for electric vehicles? 15 seconds.
If we see that that's one option that people support, I would make sure that we are funding our infrastructure. We can't let that go, because what we have is when we let our roads and our bridges crumble, people suffer, commuters suffer, and we pay a higher price. So we will fund our transportation infrastructure.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, same question to you. You have 30 seconds.
Let me make this very, very clear. California doesn't have a money problem. We have a money spending problem by decades of Democrat failures. Every answer you've had so far for the California public, they're raising your taxes, they're taking more and more of your money because they refuse to stop their spending. No, I will not support a tax on mileage. No, I will not support a gas tax. It is the government's responsibility to have priorities, and infrastructure is an absolute priority. We are getting rid of all the waste, and we are doing what government is supposed to do.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, same question to you. You have 30 seconds.
No, we cannot keep going in this direction with Democrats constantly
regulation,
going for their insatiable appetite for more and more taxes for their bottomless money pit. And now the mileage tax, they want to track you everywhere you drive. No, I would veto that. We need to cut spending and cut taxes so that we can give relief to families and businesses. My plan is for $3 gas and your first 100 grand tax free. That's what we need to do to make our state Cal-affordable.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Frank.
Cal-affordable.
Our next question tonight is about an issue we all see every
Good
day
answer
in
by,
California, homelessness.
Okay,
there
homelessness.
are 187,000 people experiencing homelessness in the state right now. In a recent Inside California
Potential
Politics
mental
poll,
health
86% of those
angle,
surveyed believe the
but
homeless
should be
problem
pretty
has
much
stayed the
homelessness
same
for everyone.
or is getting worse. We want to ask a question about Governor Newsom's performance on homelessness.
Newsom.
What letter grade would you give him on handling the issue?
Oh, this is-
and what,
yeah,
if
yeah,
anything,
this is
would
so
you
Newsom
do
coded.
differently? Ms. Porter, we're
I had
going to
some
begin
notes.
with
It's
you.
over.
You recently gave the governor a solid A- when it comes to his
Wow.
overall job performance.
They asked this in the last
what
debate.
grade
They're
would you
literally
give him
repeating
on
it.
homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently?
Interesting.
You have
Yeah.
60 seconds.
I'm a notoriously tough grader, but I would probably give him a B on homelessness. I don't think this has been an easy problem to solve.
Wow, she's
But I
saying
do
him.
give him a lot of credit for calling attention to the problem. When he campaigned 8 years ago, he was talking about housing when nobody else was. Our homelessness problem is a direct
Wow, she
correlate
doesn't
of our
mention
housing problems.
Newsom.
We're not going to solve homelessness without bringing down the cost of housing. That's why housing has been my #1 issue since the day I launched this race over a year ago. What I would do differently than Governor Newsom is
There it is.
fund homelessness prevention. It is so much more cost effective and so much more humane to prevent families from becoming homeless in the first place, and making sure that if they do lose their home, that they're able to land in an interim housing or shelter situation. We can't solve this problem because the problem keeps getting worse. For every person we put into permanent supportive housing, somebody else loses their home and takes their place. That's why Californians don't feel like we're making progress despite spending significant money.
Ms. Porter, thank you very much. Mr. Mahan, you've given Governor Newsom grades ranging from A to D, depending on the issue. What grade would you give him on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
Well, Frank, look, the assessment does depend on the issue, and I'm going to leave the letter grades to you and all the pundits out there. Let me tell you what we've done in San Jose, because we've created a model for the rest of the state. We've increased trust in local government by 40%, primarily because we have moved thousands of people indoors.
Yeah, this is all live.
I had to take on the establishment within my own party to change the way we were spending our money. We were spending $1 million a door and taking years to build alternatives to the
This
streets.
guy is just, he's
Instead,
so
we
good at
built
answering
basic,
questions
dignified
that I
shelter,
kind of feel
invested
like
in
he has
prevention.
to go up after
And when shelter
debates
was
like this.
available, we required that
He's
people
so,
come indoors. We've
like,
reduced
well-spoken.
unsheltered homelessness in San Jose by nearly 1/3 over the last 4 years. That's why
gonna
trust in
remember, he was
government
at,
in
like,
San
sub
Jose has
10%
increased.
pre-debate.
It's why fewer people are outdoors. And it's part of the reason that our streets are safer and cleaner. I'm proud of what we've done. I'll demand results from every city and every county in California as governor.
I'd like to clarify and ask you one more time to give a letter grade to help voters understand your assessment of Governor
Hilton's
Newsom's
gonna
job
slam
on this
Newsom, by
issue.
the
You
way.
have
He
15
loves
seconds.
All right,
Slam
Frank,
Newsom.
since you insisted, look, I'll give him a B on
Oh,
Care Court
Hilton
and
is gonna
Prop 1
slam
and
him
many
for
of the
this, by the
important
way,
initiatives that he
for him
championed
giving
where
a
I've been
B.
proud to stand with him. I'm going to give us all, though, a D on implementation. San Jose has led the way. A few other places
Mayor.
have, but we have
Steve
not delivered
Hilton's
the
gonna
results people
slam
deserve.
this
Thank
guy
you very much for the letter grades. Mr. Becerra, we haven't seen you issue a letter grade
Hilton's
on
getting
Governor
ready, man.
Newsom's
He's gonna-
overall
he's
performance.
gonna
What
just-
grade does he get on homelessness, and what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
Frank, I would say that the governor has made efforts. We've seen him come down to Los Angeles, actually go out and try to clean some of the streets. On effort, I would give him an A. Here's what I would do that's different, though. I would focus on accountability. I would make sure if we're sending billions of dollars down to the local communities, to our cities and our counties, that we would demand accountability for the dollar that we're going to give them. We need to see results, and
You're sad
results
about
are what you
Swalwell?
see on the
Really?
streets.
You're
We
sad
need to
you can't
pull
vote
folks
for
up,
Swalwell?
help get them
I don't
back
know.
on their
Be
feet, and that's what I
careful
would do.
saying that.
But what I will tell you is my principal job as governor, and I'm glad to hear other people are saying this, is I'm going
Just
to
wait,
keep you
Hilton-
housed. If you
I
are
can't
in a
believe they
home
asked
right
this
now,
question again,
renting
by the
or
way, on
owning,
Newsom
if
and
you lose your
homelessness.
job unexpectedly, or you
But-
have a medical emergency, and now you're about to become homeless as a result of that now unaffordable expense, tell me what you need. How can I help you keep your home? Because it costs me so much more money to pick you off the streets, provide you with the assistance in the shelter, than it does to
Kamala,
keep you in the home
do
that
you
you're
think
already
she's
paid
running
for.
for-
Mr. Becerra, let me ask you a follow-up question. You're saying that anyone
wow.
who needs
Follow-up to
housing
Becerra.
assistance, you will help them? That means the government will help them? How much is that going to cost, and where does that money come from? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, Frank, we spend billions, tens of billions of dollars right now to try to pull people off the streets. Do you think it's working? It would cost us a fraction of that amount to help someone who temporarily lost their job stay
I
in the
would
home.
love to
If
be
they,
able to
for
get
2
out
or
of
3
my
months,
Newsom,
fall
but-
behind on the rent, they don't get kicked out because we'll try to support them.
just gonna be
Zero
dead
interest
here.
loan. You can
Hilton's
keep them in their home.
Hilton's gonna slam
I save a lot more money
Newsom.
by keeping them in the house than watching them hit the streets and then try to find them and pick them up. Far more expensive.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Nikki?
Mr. Bianco, you have been very critical of Governor Newsom. What grade would you give him on homelessness, and what would you do differently?
Well,
You
I-
have 60 seconds.
I think we've just learned of the failure of the California education system, too, if we can't even realistically assign grades to failure. It is an absolute dismal failure, and anyone that says it's not is fooling themselves or trying to fool voters. We are not dealing with homeless, so stop calling it homeless. It has nothing to do with homes. This is drug and alcohol-induced psychosis, mental illness causing the other. It doesn't matter. But these people are suffering from drug and alcohol abuse and mental illness. We would have fixed this problem probably already had the Democrats in California, in state legislature, and our governor funded Prop 36 to give us the treatment that we need. I am on the front lines of this. I've been on the front lines of this for 33 years. This has nothing to do with the home. Until we actually start caring about these people, you have compassion to look them in the face and tell them that you're going to walk by them and ignore them. If that's what you're going to do, you're just a part of the failure of government. We are going to deal with this for what it is. It is not homes.
Mr. Bianco, I just want to clarify here the second part of the question. If you're elected governor, what would you do differently?
Unfortunately, there's probably like no
Every
way
single bit of the money going to
being a Republican,
nonprofits and NGOs for
didn't
homeless
Trump endorse
ends
Hilton
the
over
day I take
Bianco?
over.
Is that right?
And a small portion of that will go to the funding of the drug and alcohol treatment centers that they need, the mental health treatment centers that they need, and then more importantly,
Mr. Bianco.
the combination of
Mr.
drug and
Bianco, thank
alcohol
you.
and
Mr.
mental
Bianco, thank you.
illness.
Mr. Hilton, you've given the governor an
here's
F
Hilton.
on his overall performance. When it comes to homelessness, has he done anything right? You have 60 seconds.
Well, by the way, I'd love to be in your class, Katie, if you get a B for what Gavin Newsom's done on homelessness. My goodness, of course it's an F. It shames our state,
Yeah, this guy
the situation with homelessness.
not like
we have
Newsom.
about 10%
Can't tell.
of the US population, around 50% of the country's homeless population. And as for Javier praising Gavin Newsom for the photo op where he tried to pretend he was cleaning up a homeless encampment, literally Gavin Newsom did that 3 times in a row. Nothing changed.
Who stole
and
ballots?
nothing
I'm
will
actually not even
change
familiar.
if you have one of these Democrats in power. It will be more of the same. My plan is a common sense 3-point plan. Number 1, it is illegal to live and camp on the streets. We need
This is
to
kind of a
enforce the law.
regulation
Number
angle,
2,
by the way.
we need
Get
to
rid
get
of
people
housing
into the drug
regulations.
treatment that
Oh,
they
no.
need,
Is
and it
mental
cannot be a
health.
choice. Number 3, we need to get people the mental health
Yeah,
care
mental
that they
health.
need
Shit,
instead
that
of
was
the
free.
barbaric situation
So he's not really
we have
talking
right
about
now in
housing.
California as a result of these Democrat policies, where the main place where we're treating people with mental health problems is
Mr. Hilton.
jail.
Mr.
That
Hilton.
has to change.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Ms. Porter, Mr. Becerra, I'll let you respond, but I just want to clarify the second part of my question. Do you think the governor has done anything right on homelessness? I'll give
No,
you 50
everything has taken us in the wrong direction. That's why we spend, what is it, the state auditor found, $24 billion of our money spent on homelessness. They have no idea where it went because it's going into these non-profits and crony developers that are, instead of solving the problem, they are profiting
Okay, Mr.
off these
Hilton, thank
Democrat
you. Your time is up.
policies.
Thank you. Ms. Porter, I'll allow
Wow,
you
Democrat
to
was
respond.
so
You
free.
have 15
If
seconds.
you were in my class, Mr. Hilton, you would learn in my bankruptcy and consumer protection class that the majority of homeless people in California are actually working. They're not just people on the streets. It's not just people with mental illness or people with drug or substance use problems. It's also families who are fleeing intimate partner and domestic violence. It's people who are double and tripled up. It's people who are living in their cars on our college campuses. Homelessness comes in a lot of different forms, and if we don't see the whole problem, if we demonize them from one perspective, we'll never be able to solve this problem.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Becerra allowed you to respond to Mr. Hilton there. You have 15
All right,
seconds.
not to get political,
Well, it's
but I'm going
interesting
to
to
get
watch
political.
someone who has served as a talking head
'Cause I've-
on
everywhere
a
I've lived
Fox
has had
News
really
program
big
telling us
homeless
how government
issues.
should run when he never has run any government in his life. And it's fascinating to see that he can do all these things, but
What
he's
she
talking
said is
about
true.
not collecting any revenue.
What
to
the
be able
other
to
guy
do any
said
of
is
this
true
work.
as well, Hilton.
It doesn't add up. The math doesn't work. But then that's what happens. You can be a talking head.
I
and
do
not
think
worry about
solving
the
for like
consequences of
mental
what you
health
do.
and drug
Mr.
addiction
Becerra,
is
thank
probably
you.
the biggest thing you
Mr.
do for
Steyer,
homelessness,
the
as
last
opposed to
time you were
housing.
asked to
I think
great
people present
Governor
it as a
Newsom, let
housing
me ask this
cost
question. We
issue.
know you have a lot to say tonight. We have a
Probably
lot
a
to
little
get
too
to.
much.
So let me ask you this question here. Mr. Steyer, the last time you were asked to grade Governor Newsom, you passed, saying that you hadn't followed his
I
record
believe it.
closely enough. Are you ready to give him a grade on homelessness? And what, if anything, would you do differently? You have 60 seconds.
So I give the governor a B- on this. And I want to start with a simple statement, which is no one gets well on the street. What I would do is make sure to keep as many people off the street, and if they're on the street, to get them off as fast as possible. Because only 1 in 7 people who becomes homeless
Yeah, there's
starts
a
with
ton
a
in California.
serious mental health problem, either bipolarism or some sort of substance abuse. But being on the street itself is such a stressful, vulnerable,
Jesus,
dangerous
there's 4
place
markets on
that it
this, so there's a
creates
ton,
mental
but
health
I was
problems for many
mostly
people.
on no's
That's
for a
why
lot
I'm in
of these,
favor
just 'cause,
of emergency interim housing.
it's not
Getting
gonna be
people
a
into one
crazy
room
amount
with a
of
key,
speaking time for
shared
everyone.
laundry and food. You don't have to be clean, and you can bring your animal. We need to get people off the street. And let's remember this. We want our cities to be walkable and safe. We want kids to be safe walking down the street. Cleaning up this problem gives us a chance to rejuvenate our inner cities, to make them vibrant, and a place where we're going to build more housing and put more people.
And Mr. Steyer, I just want to clarify that last part when you said get people off the streets and into housing. Is that something that you would force them to do? You have
Well, let me
15
say this.
seconds.
The point about emergency interim housing is this. People want to go to it. This is something that
We're almost
actually is
1/3 of the way
designed
through.
to meet their needs, as opposed to the huge shelters or waiting 7 years to get them into permanent housing, which costs, Matt Mahan was saying it costs $1 million a key, and the numbers I've heard of between $750,000 and $1 million. Being homeless for 7 years is an incredibly dangerous thing to do, and it's the most compassionate thing we can do, is to provide the interim housing that gets
Mr.
people to
Steyer.
places they want to be.
Mr. Stiers, thank you. Mr. Mahan, I'll let you respond since he invoked your name and called out the figure there.
Yeah, thanks. Well, look, it has cost $1 million a door. I can show you the receipts from projects that have been approved across the Bay Area. It's worth keeping in mind, the only housing Tom Steyer's built has been private prisons and ICE detention centers. Here's the truth. The reality is when you build interim housing, and what Tom's pointing to is the San Jose model. We've built interim housing, dignified alternatives to the streets. 70, 80% of people have been willing to come indoors. There's also a share of folks who are out there who are unwilling or unable to come indoors.
Mr. Mahan,
we have to be able to mandate
Can I
treatment.
respond?
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Steyer, I'll give you 15 seconds.
So let me say this. My wife and I started a nonprofit bank to basically go in and support the people who can't get financing from normal banks. We have financed 17,000 low-income housing units. We have made sure that every loan is measured only for its impact on the community, either in terms of economic growth or environmental sustainability, and we don't make a dime out of it, and we absolutely never will.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Now we would like to ask a question about each of your individual campaigns. You will have 1 minute
wow.
to
So
answer
this is
this
gonna be
question.
kinda-
Mr.
oh,
Mahan,
wait.
we will start this round with you.
Oh, this is kind of...
Artificial intelligence is replacing
AI.
jobs in every industry. Your campaign is supported in part by billionaire tech executives. How can voters concerned about AI trust you to work for them and not the tech industry? You
Okay,
have
but
60
they're
seconds.
asking, these are specific
Thanks,
questions
Nikki.
for everyone,
I'm
so
the
that's not
only
AI for
candidate
everyone.
on this stage who has direct experience with deploying AI in government and regulating it. We created the playbook in San Jose that hundreds of other cities and counties use to
Man,
put
this guy,
restrictions on how
he's
technology
so
is
good at
used.
answering
Being the mayor
questions,
of the
like-
largest city in Silicon Valley, I am at the
Does he just
forefront
not come
of
across
these
as
technological
personable enough
changes. I
to
know
do well?
that these tools can be harnessed to do great good, to make government more efficient and more responsive. We've sped up buses and improved language access, but I also understand the risks to privacy, misinformation and manipulation, job loss.
He's such a
which is
good
why
speaker.
we've put strict regulations on our use
Like
of
this whole
technology
time
that other
so
cities
far,
are
he hasn't
following.
even
We've created the first
used
AI
any
upskilling
fluff
curriculum for our
words, nothing.
workforce so that they aren't displaced
Very
by
prepared.
technology, but they can use it to enhance their work. I am not afraid to regulate big tech or any other industry, and as governor, I'll make sure we protect the people of California.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, you were chair of the Democratic caucus when Eric Swalwell was elected to Congress. You said in a recent interview that, quote, many of us heard the rumors. What rumors did you hear, and should you have
Oh,
pursued
man.
the rumors as a member
Wow.
of Democratic leadership? You have 60 seconds.
Thanks, Nikki. Yeah, you hear rumors all the time about all sorts of things. Rumors are not facts.
This is
and
gonna be a good clip.
the caucus, the Democratic caucus, is not a place that adjudicates those things. It's law enforcement that does. If someone had come forward, we could then have investigations. I say that as the former Attorney General for the state of California. When I was Attorney General, we did go after sex trafficking. We did go after those who abuse of young women and take advantage of them. We did prosecute people. There was an individual who was a religious leader who was taking advantage of young women. We prosecuted that individual. Today, he is in jail for his crimes. We have
Wow.
gone after people, but we go after them
This
based
is-
on evidence and based on facts. Unfortunately, we have a president today who would go after someone based on rumors. That's not the way we do it in America. We have to have the facts. Rumors are one thing, but getting the facts really gets you to move. And let me just applaud those courageous survivors
That's,
who stood
man,
up
kind of a
and
crazy
told America
question.
what the truth was. And today, Eric Swalwell was facing accountability.
Mr. Becerra, thank
All
you.
right.
Frank.
He answered it all right.
Mr. Bianco, you took an unprecedented action recently, seizing 650,000 certified ballots by your own county election officials as part of an investigation into election fraud because of an allegation by one group. The California Supreme Court has ordered that investigation paused for now. Do you believe California elections are secure, and would you consider taking the same action after the primary election if you don't believe the results?
I know, it's because they're late market school.
We're
Harvey.
never
You had
going
to buy
to know if our
early.
elections are secure because
dries
when
up
law
live.
enforcement does
'Cause people are gonna
legitimate
get so
investigations
adverse.
into the allegations, it's stopped by our current Democrat one-party rule in California, particularly our embarrassment of an attorney general. So this was a very, very basic, normal investigation. The allegation didn't come from a group. It came from reports that our own records, county records from the Registrar of Voters that do not match the
This guy
output
is
of
MAGA
votes
incarnate
counted.
at this-
So a
this
very
point.
simple investigation would have counted those ballots to see if they match the
Like,
votes.
it's such
but
a-
we now
I
have
know,
a
this whole rigged
massive
election thing is-
political outcry from our Attorney General using political lawfare to stop a lawful investigation. And it wasn't stopped. The investigation was not stopped by the Supreme Court. It was stopped so we could argue these
Yeah, I
ridiculous
know.
allegations
How would
from the
this guy
Attorney
not get a
General
Trump
about
endorsement?
whether or not he has authority to stop that investigation in the first place.
He's done
And
everything.
to clarify, would you consider taking the same action after this primary election if you don't believe the results? You have 15
I
seconds.
have you made that assumption that that's why this happened. That is absolutely horrific that you basically said that I did that because of how I felt. If we get information, I've been 33 years in law enforcement investigating crime. Do you want me to start doing that with murders? I mean, this is ridiculous. This is an absolute ridiculous question. This is a ridiculous topic because we have an allegation of voter fraud. And Californians are sick of voter fraud. They're sick of politics. And they believe there's voter fraud.
All right,
But when
Mr.
we
Bianco.
try to fix it, it is
It was
stopped.
said for
All right,
Bianco,
Mr. Bianco,
or for
thank
who?
you. Mr. Hilton, you said you were deeply honored to
I missed
recently
it if Bianco
receive
said it.
President Trump's endorsement. That's despite the fact that 62% of Californians disapprove of the job he is doing. Are those Californians wrong? You have 60 seconds.
One
All
of the
right.
proudest days of my life was the day I became an American citizen. It happened in a ceremony right here in San Francisco. So it is a deep honor for me to be endorsed by the President of the United States. And here's the thing that's
Wow,
going to help
President of the
every
United
Californian
States.
when I'm governor, is that we will have a constructive relationship and partnership with the federal government, which would be
Dude,
the
this
case,
guy
I would
weaved.
hope, for any
Trump,
party
by the way.
in that situation, so that we can
someone
make
bond this
things
early?
better in California. Work with the president and his administration to manage our forests better, to harvest the timber so we can build the single-family homes we need for young families, to
Weaving
work
Trump.
to increase California energy production as
I
he wants to
dodged
do,
it,
so
Nick.
we can lower gas prices, to fight the fraud in our government so we can cut spending and cut taxes, to work to enforce our immigration laws in all these areas and more. It will benefit every Californian to have a governor
Mr.
who
Hilton.
is a partner
Wow.
on these issues
Mr. Hilton.
with the president
Thank
and his
you very
team.
much.
With
Nikki.
the president, dude. This guy
Mr. Steyer,
completely
you are the
weaves
only
Trump.
billionaire in this race. According to reports, you and your wife paid $5.4 million in federal taxes in 2024.
Wow.
You have said repeatedly, quote, tax me more. How much more should you be paying? And there's nothing preventing you from paying more. Have you? So you have 60
Steyer's a
seconds.
masochist.
So let me say this. I'm the only billionaire on the ballot, Nikki, but I'm not the only billionaire in this race. The billionaires and corporations are spending big in this race to oppose me and to support the other people on this stage.
I did not, Mr. Nick, though,
In
but I heard that that was a
2024,
crazy market.
corporations spent $540 million to lobby in Sacramento. They are literally spending tens of millions of dollars against me. I'm the billionaire who wants to tax other billionaires. I'm the billionaire who's taking on the electric monopolies and trying to break up their power. I'm the billionaire who wants to tax the oil companies and make polluters pay. So when you say I'm the only billionaire in the race, Yes, but I'm the person who is the change agent in this state. I'm the person who's taking on the funded corporate interests who are driving up costs for Californians in every place. No one wants to take them on.
If Hilton didn't hit Trump there, I don't know how else he could hit Trump.
Tens of millions. And let me say this. On Earth Day, the oil companies dropped $5 million today against me to fight me on Earth Day. Thank you very much.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. And I just want to clarify for people watching this right now, two parts of the question. You said tax me more. How much more? And there's nothing preventing you from paying more taxes, have you?
My wife and I have said that we
this is so
will
stupid.
give
They
the
want him
bulk
to
of our
mail
money
in
away
more
while we're alive
money to
and
the
in the
government?
process
It's
of
kind
doing
of a
that.
dumb
But
question.
me paying more taxes is not the answer. I've said I
Honestly,
believe
Riggs,
that
some of
people
these
should-
people are
again,
actually
Tom.
decent.
Wait, no,
Mr.
Stephen, let me
Hilton,
finish.
Mr.
That's not
Hilton,
fair.
Mr. Hilton,
I have said
Hilton's jumping in.
one person
He
putting
pays
more
the
money into the
lowest tax
system.
rate of
Mr.
anyone
Hilton, if you guys are
on
both
this
talking,
stage.
people at
If-
home won't be able to hear you. So
If
continue,
one
Mr.
person
Steyer.
puts more money into the government, that doesn't solve it. We need structural change. And in every one of the places where Californians are being ripped off, where it's impossible for them to make rent at the end of the month,
Mr. Steyer,
I'm
thank
taking
you.
on the special interests, and they're fighting back.
Mr.
They're
Steyer.
the person who
Mr.
are coming
Steyer,
after me
thank
because
you.
they're scared of me.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Frank.
Ms. Porter, you've acknowledged that your interactions with an aide and with a reporter captured on
I remember.
videos which went viral were, in your words, a bad look, and that you could have done better. What have you done to address those concerns? And as a person who frequently speaks about being a parent on the campaign trail, what would you tell your own kids if they ever faced a boss like that? You have 60 seconds.
What is
I
she gonna say?
apologized that day to that staffer 4 years ago. And I took responsibility then, and I have taken responsibility since, acknowledging that it was not the right way to treat someone. And that is a big contrast to what we have seen other candidates do when they have been called out for misconduct. I'm proud that that staffer in that video and I continued to work together for 4 years following that incident, and it speaks to how I addressed it. I work hard with my team to deliver for Californians, things like free COVID testing in the first weeks of the pandemic, things like cracking down on pharmaceutical price gouging, calling out a bank CEO for the fact that their employees couldn't pay for housing.
So it feels
all
like
of my accomplishments have come from my team. And I would say that if somebody is treating you rudely, you should speak up. And that's what I would want my children to do. And that's what I did when I was being pushed again and again and again to kowtow, to give in and defend Donald Trump when he was engaged in despicable actions. I wasn't going to do that
did
for
she
that
bring this
reporter.
to
and
Trump?
I will not do it as governor.
Bad answer.
Ms.
No,
Porter,
she messed
thank
up
you very
there.
much.
She lost her
And with
wording
that,
a little
we're going
bit.
to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to ask the candidates about an exclusive report that shed new light on a battle between California and the Trump administration. You are watching Debate Night
What
in
is this
California.
report on California versus Trump? Is this on ice? Just a black screen. Okay, I guess at least we don't have to watch the ads. I mean, wow, Mahan is going up in the odds. Damn. Okay, the only thing notable so far, I should have bought some of Mahan. I was talking about it before. Like, that guy's just such a good speaker. Should I get some now? I feel like this guy is going to do well. He's got some good backing. He's very smart. But, all right, so far, notably, in these odds, both Becerra and Steyer have come down very slightly. And Mahan has started to come up to 12, man. I like him a lot. I don't know how you... Like, he's clearly winning the debate so far. Without a doubt. I wonder how much he's going to actually... Man, I mean, if this is really so up for grabs, I don't understand how Mahan couldn't do it. Like, he's got so much backing. All the VC guys really like him. Super well-spoken. I don't know. We'll see. He's only up to 12. He was at like 9.5 before this debate. I probably should have just clicked some for fun. But, yeah, I mean, he's clearly, to me, winning this debate. But, you know, it's hard to say in this day and age, like, what it takes. You know what I mean? We're in this era of, like, all this populism. All right, they're already back. That was fast. Let's Let's see if I delayed it all. Let me see.
Welcome back to Debate Night in California. The race for governor coming to you live from San Francisco.
All right, let's move on to our next question. In an exclusive KRON 4 report, a California Highway Patrol officer was recorded giving a roadside English proficiency test to a commercial truck driver. Let's take a look at the video.
And then do me a favor. Tell me what this sign means. So what does this mean? What is it telling you? What does this sign mean?
This video is captured following the U.S. Department of Transportation withholding $40 million in funding, saying California is the only state in the country that refuses to ensure big rig drivers can read road signs and communicate with law enforcement.
Mr. Becerra, we begin this round with you. Should the CHP be giving English proficiency tests to truck drivers? And if not, would you as governor push back against the Trump administration on this policy? You have 60 seconds.
I would definitely push back on the Trump administration on, again, a reckless policy. I would make sure that that officer understands that he cannot discriminate against any driver without having a basis to do so. I understood a little bit of what that individual was trying to say. I couldn't see the signs, but it certainly sounded like he was trying to describe what that particular sign was trying to represent. And so we have to be very careful that we're not profiling consumers in California, drivers in California. It is against the law. And our police officers, while they try to do the best job of keeping safety, have to understand they have to abide by the rules and treat everyone, every motorist, the same way. And so if that officer had some basis to be qualified, let's take a look at that. But let's not find that people are being discriminated against because of what they look like. Is that officer asking everyone he pulls over to explain those road signs, or is he asking only people who look like me? And if he's doing that, then he's violating the law.
And I just want to clarify, do you think CHP should be giving English proficiency tests?
As far as I know, the Academy does not train CHP officers to be giving English proficiency exams. So that officer has some explaining to do.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, you are the only law enforcement officer on the stage tonight. Should this type of roadside testing become standard practice across California? And what should happen to drivers if they do fail? You have 60 seconds.
Well, we have to, first off, acknowledge that we actually do have rules and we actually do have laws. And if they are not abiding by those laws and California is giving them driver's licenses when they do not qualify for those driver's licenses and we're sending them out onto the streets, we also have seen several horrific accidents that were attributed to people that did not understand English or that could not comprehend the road signs or the street signs that they were supposed to be abiding by. So we don't know the context of this. This is what's super important, especially in law enforcement. You have to know the entire context of this entire stop and this entire video, not just the small section. But if he is verifying whether or not someone can read signs, my guess is he was stopped for violating a sign and he's trying to verify that he could. And let's stop with this whole racism thing and racial profiling and all of this garbage. We have to get over this. You either violated the law or you didn't. End of story. Consequences for bad behavior.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Hilton, would you require full compliance with the federal language standards for truck drivers? You have 60 seconds.
This guy's kind of dodging.
So I've discussed this with someone called Marcus Coleman from Bakersfield. His beautiful daughter, Delilah, was put into a coma by someone driving a truck. An illegal immigrant, didn't speak English, and his daughter now disabled for life. That's what we're dealing with here. It is completely ridiculous that we have people driving on our roads who can't understand road signs and can't speak English. So yes, of course, and I've discussed this with my friend Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, we will not be issuing commercial driver licenses when I'm governor to people who are illegally here and who don't speak English. That is obvious common sense.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Frank.
Again, no
Mr.
reference to
Steyer, where
Trump.
do you draw the line on this? Should language proficiency for truckers be strictly enforced,
Trump, like,
even
very
if it
intentionally.
means that some of them will probably lose their jobs? You have 60 seconds.
Look, I agree with what was said, which is we don't know the context of this stop. But what I can say is this: racial profiling is illegal. And in fact, picking on people based on the color of their skin in the state of California is illegal. I have a program for ICE that involves prosecuting them for racial profiling, prosecuting them for violence against Californians and the supervisors, studying, investigating their detention centers, having legal defense funds for people who've been kidnapped and put in those detention centers, and a Know Your Rights PR campaign. Listen, what we're talking about here is whether police officers and the criminal justice system treats people fairly based on the color of their skin. I will say this, Donald Trump posted against me last week because I said ICE has to obey the law in California. The head of ICE
Trump more than
posted against me.
Republicans.
But I'm
Republicans
not
are
going
like
to step
afraid
back
to
because
talk
the
about
truth
Trump
is,
right now.
racial profiling is illegal,
that's
violence is illegal, and we need,
bizarre.
the governor of California needs to
must
stand
just
up
know
for
it's
Californian
really bad
citizens
for
every
California
time.
Mr.
voter
Steyer,
base.
thank you. Ms. Porter, same question. Do you believe that English proficiency, language proficiency should be strictly enforced for truck drivers? You have 60 seconds.
I would absolutely fight the Trump administration because the job of the California governor is to protect Californians. And right now, that includes protecting them from Donald Trump. Protecting Californians also includes enforcing traffic laws. And we've seen sometimes a need for oversight in California. For example, we have seen that the Department of Motor Vehicles was not enforcing rules around DUIs and drivers who had convictions for that. I am stunned that Mr. Bianco would say to black and brown Californians and immigrants who are being terrorized and racially profiled that you have to get over racism. It's not something that you get over. It's something that you fight. And if he doesn't understand the importance of that, he has no business representing a state with the diversity of California.
Ms. Porter, thank you very much. Mr. Bianco, I'll give you 15 seconds to respond.
Yeah, again, that's not even close to what I said. What I said is we're Californians, and I'm speaking for them, especially from law enforcement, when I deal with persons of color every single day, Californians are absolutely sick and tired of our politicians making race the basis of everything. It is not. And this racial divide that they are pushing between law enforcement and the public, or Democrat and Republican, absolutely has to stop. And I'm telling you, we are sick of it.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Mahan, as a mayor of a city in which 42% of the residents are foreign-born, do you believe that English proficiency tests for truckers are necessary? You have 60 seconds.
No, Frank, the right answer here is clearly to hold the DMV accountable for ensuring that every driver on our roadway meets the qualifications for the license that they have. That's the appropriate entity to do this. And as the mayor of not only one of the most diverse big cities in the country, but the safest big city in the country, let me tell you what creates real public safety. It's rooted in trust. When people trust the law enforcement officers who serve the community,
am I crazy?
It means that residents are more likely to report crime, to serve as
what
witnesses,
can you knock on
to
this
provide
guy?
evidence. We made San Jose the safest big city in the country by building that trust between law enforcement and the community that they serve. That will be my priority as governor, but we should never lower the standard that agencies like the DMV enforce. As governor, I will also ensure that every state agency lives up to its responsibility.
Clarification, English proficiency, 15 seconds. Exams?
The DMV has exams, and it's not about whether or not you speak English. I represent one of the most diverse cities and the safest city. What the DMV is responsible for doing is not testing how good your English is. It's whether or not you're a safe driver who understands the rules.
All right, Mr. Mahan, thank you. Nikki?
This is another round where you will all be getting the same question. We're asking for a yes or no answer here. If you do not finish in the top two on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? Mr. Steyer, we will start with you. Yes or no?
I guess he doesn't have a chance.
You want me to go to elaborate, or is it just yes?
Yes or no? Yes.
Yeah, I said yes.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer.
Yeah, it is pretty similar to Pete.
Absolutely yes.
I guess we are going to let you elaborate, so I'll go back to you, Mr. Steyer. I'll give you 15 seconds.
Let me put it to you this way. If there's a Republican in the race, that Republican will be supported by and also supporting Donald Trump. Donald Trump is raising our gas prices. Donald Trump is kicking 1 to 3 million people off
he's not going back to
Medi-Cal. Donald Trump is he is trying to punish California every way he can, and the people who are supporting him are also supporting ICE. That is a legal organization that is terrorizing and victimizing Californians. How can I support that? Every
Mr. Steyer,
Democrat
thank you. Ms. Porter, I know that you said yes. Your response.
Yes, absolutely. And I have a track record of supporting other Democrats. Mr. Steyer likes to talk about his giving pledge, but what he's done with his own money is more give me an opportunity to be the governor. I think it's really important that we support other Democrats. I've campaigned for other people in purple seats. I've raised money for other people. I was a successful fundraiser and a successful campaigner, and I've used that to beat Donald Trump everywhere we can, and I would do the same thing in this race.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, we'll come to you. If you don't finish in the top 2 on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? You have 15 seconds.
Well, we don't have party primaries, but assuming there's a Democrat and a Republican, I'll endorse the Democrat, but I will make very clear to them and everyone else that the best resistance to Donald Trump is delivering results in people's lives, just as I've done as the mayor of the 3rd largest city in the state, where we're building thousands of homes.
Mr. Mahan,
we've reduced
thank you.
crime and reduced homelessness.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, same question to you.
What we need is the best person who can fight those who are attacking California, like Donald Trump. Someone who's actually taken on Donald Trump, not just fought, but won. Not someone who just wants to fight to do more for housing, but has and can improve the lives of so many people, has fought for better health care. I will support that Democrat in the runoff.
Mr. Becerra,
I'm hoping
thank you.
I'm the one that's there.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Frank.
I'll ask the Republicans now. We've heard from the Democrats. Mr. Bianco, if you do not finish in the top 2 on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? 15 seconds.
The only people who are hurting California are Democrats. It is not Donald Trump. They keep saying Donald Trump because Democrat policies are a dismal failure in California. They have nothing to point to.
What does this have to do with
I'm not going to
endorsing?
support my opponent because it's going to be he and I going to November.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Dude,
Mr. Hilton, if you do not finish in the top 2 on June 2nd, will you endorse your party's nominee? 15 seconds.
Yes, I will, because we've had 16 years of one-party rule by
Trump
these Democrats. It's given us the highest poverty rate, the highest unemployment rate, the highest cost of living in America. It is obviously desperately time for change in California. It's time for some balance in our system. We have to elect a Republican as governor this year.
Thank you very much. Nikki.
Now we are going to go to our closing statements, but that does not mean the debate is over. We will continue to be live on our last half hour of our digital channels and on YouTube. To get there quickly, just scan the QR code on your left side of your screen. Mr. Mahan, we will begin with you. Closing statements, you have 30 seconds.
Thanks, Nikki. I'm running for governor because Californians deserve better. We deserve a government that is accountable for delivering results in people's lives. As mayor of the 3rd largest city in the state, I've delivered the biggest decreases in crime and homelessness. We have thousands of homes under construction. I know what it looks like to take on the establishment within my own party to make government deliver results for working people. We don't need MAGA, but we also don't need more of the same. That's why I'm offering something different.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Ms. Porter, you have 30 seconds.
California, this election is about who you can trust to fight for you. One candidate is a billionaire who got rich off polluters and ICE prisons and is now using that money to fund his election.
Misfunded Trump?
Another candidate for nearly 40 years cashed corporate
Did you buy
checks
it on
and then
president?
lacked the courage to take them on. I'm not like them. I have never taken corporate money. That's why I have always stood firm against Donald Trump and special interests. I'm like you, a mom fighting for a better future for California.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Becerra, you have 30 seconds.
California is going through a crisis, and we need someone who knows how to govern in crisis, not someone who's going to need training wheels the moment they walk into the governor's office. This is a time to have someone who's actually fought those crises, whether it's the man-made crisis coming from Washington, D.C., or whether it's the cost of living crisis that we face here at home. We need someone who's actually fought and won.
Unfortunately.
Beat back Donald Trump to save the Affordable Care Act all the way to the Supreme Court. Beat back Donald Trump in preserving the DACA program for Dreamers. Been able to do that and win for the people.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, you have 30 seconds.
Yeah, we have all heard their platform now. It's more taxes and a complete lack of responsibility. I have 33 years
I hope
of dealing
that
with the
Steve Hilton
consequences
talks about
of their poor decisions
cutting
and of their poor
regulations.
policies and the Democrat agenda for the last 33 years. I am running for Californians because Californians do deserve better. They deserve someone with honesty, transparency, integrity, and most importantly, proven leadership. If you want the status quo, keep the status quo. If you want a better California, I'm asking for your vote.
Mr. Bianco, thank you. Mr. Steyer, you have 30 seconds.
The people raising the cost for California don't want me to be governor. I'm the change agent here, and they don't want change. And in politics, it's pretty easy to figure out who you are by seeing who opposes you and who supports you. Let me tell you who opposes me. The oil companies, PG&E, the realtors, the drug companies, Donald Trump, and the head of ICE. Let me tell you who supports me. Progressives, environmentalists, organized labor, including teachers and nurses. None of these people are fighting anybody else no one else on this stage is having these corporate special interests oppose them. They want to stop me
Mr.
because
Steyer,
I'm
thank
going
you.
to change
Mr. Steyer,
California.
thank you. Mr.
Mrs.
Hilton,
Hilton?
closing
All right.
statements. You have 30 seconds.
You got to think regulation.
We obviously need change in California.
I'm just
The system
praying
is
for it.
not working. I'm the only one here who has never run for office before. I'm not part of this system. These Democrats can't get it done. Matt Mahan talks about his record in San Jose. Actually, homelessness and crime are going up. Javier Becerra talks about his time in government. He thought it was a good idea
actually
to
doing-
put masks on 2-year-olds. We need real change
He's
in
kinda
California.
similar-
We need to think different. We need to vote different. My plan to make our state Cal-affordable is real and serious, and we can get it done if we just vote differently this year.
Mr. Hilton, thank you.
All right, with that wraps up the first hour of our debate tonight. We want to thank all of the candidates, first of all, for being here.
So,
We hope
yeah,
you
what
will
is
join
this
us for another half hour
30-minute
of the debate, including your viewer questions. We're streaming live on your local Nexstar Stations Plus channel. You can also watch it by scanning the QR
gonna stay
code
live
on
on
your
here,
screen.
right?
We will see you right back here on your digital channel in 2.5 minutes.
All right. Midway updates. Not much movement. Yeah, not really much movement in the. I mean, to be honest, Matt Mahan's kind of come up a bit, but I don't know if that's like that warranted. I mean, I was saying I love that guy, right? Like he's doing extremely well, but like being realistic, if you look at the polling data, he's pretty far out. Granted, anything could happen, but all the way up to 14, he was 6 cents yesterday. I mean, I think he's for sure winning this debate so far. I mean, he's the best spoken guy, but like, is he who people are going to vote for? I don't know. Does he have the charisma in this like populism era? He's not insulting people enough. He's not saying billionaire enough. But yeah, he's surged off of this. And then, like, I mean, Steyer does fine. I feel like it'll be, I mean, let's see. I mean, looking at the polling. Becerra, wow, and actually Hilton polled pretty well, but obviously running as a Republican is going to complicate things. A little surprised. Like, Becerra, to me, isn't doing all that well. So I'm kind of surprised that he's the front runner. Yeah, I know, Llama Mac. That's the one thing you can say about the guy. Just does not have enough energy. Trump would definitely call him low energy. But I'm too pragmatic, you know. I like people who actually talk, you know, sense. Like, that's why, like, I would like a Pete Buttigieg, you know. I love Pete. How can you not like Pete? The guy actually answers questions. Like, but does our voter base like someone like Pete Buttigieg? No. Yeah, someone drew the distinction of him to Pete Buttigieg, and I can't get it out of my head now. Why Steve is not saying Trump? I think it's calculated. Like Trump's favorability right now is extremely low. You know, with this whole Iran situation.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on your Digital Plus channel. We want to continue with the next question, and it's this one. The median home price in California right now is $900,000.
This is the question. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? Mr. Mahan, we're going to start with you. You have 60 seconds.
Oh, this is
Thanks,
regulation
Nikki.
angle for
In San
Steve
Jose,
Hilton.
we were approving thousands of housing units,
This is-
20,000 housing
this is,
units over the
potential
last 7
regulation
years
angle
or
for
so
Hilton. Let's
that
see.
weren't getting built.
But there's no
I led us through a
liquidity to really
process
click.
of looking at the data and recognizing that we in government are often in the way. We did hard things. We sped up permitting. We've used new technology to make it easier to apply. And most importantly, we reduced one-time fees that look good on paper, but were blocking the very thing we need, housing and opportunity for people. We now have thousands of new units under construction. That's a template for the state. That's how we'll move forward. I know what's at stake. I grew up in a household that was paycheck to paycheck. I remember my family, my parents arguing about how to make the mortgage payment. Solving this problem is the most fundamental way to expand economic opportunity and upward mobility in California, and I will get the job done.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
Well, we have to give those who build the homes the incentive to do so. That means streamlining the regulations and the fees that make it impossible to believe that they can make these projects pencil out.
Yeah, this guy's talking
Once
about
we
regulations.
do that,
I think,
we want to build
I think,
smart. We want to build in the
Hilton's
places
gonna
where it makes sense.
follow the same
By
lead.
transportation, so it's easy to get to and from work. Make it so that we don't have commutes that are hour and a half long. We want to make sure that we help those who want to buy a house get in a house. Most Californians who are renting are essentially paying a monthly mortgage, except it's called rent. I would convert them into homeowners by helping them with their down payment. We have down payment assistance programs where we will expand the opportunity for a renter to become a homeowner. And the next thing I will do is, in the first 100 days, I will make sure that we get all those projects that are essentially shovel ready to go. And there are some 40,000 housing units that are shovel ready. They just need a little kick over the finish line. I would make sure we do that, whether it's the small tranche of money they need or getting rid of some of the licensing requirements they need.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
We're going to all be honest about the problem. The problem is California state government. California state government created this housing problem. It is not that we can't afford a house. It's that builders can't afford to build a house because of the excessive regulations on our building
this
industry,
is so
along with
regulation
every other
coded for
business and
Steve.
industry
Come on.
in California. On day one, I remove all of those regulations from our building industry that will allow
he typically
more,
hits regulation when talking about
as much
housing.
as a third, sometimes more depending on
We were waiting for
location,
this.
to a third of the price of a home to be removed off of that $900,000 price tag just by getting rid of the government red tape. Instead of 3 to 5 years, it's going to take 3 to 5 months to build a house. We will encourage our
Maybe the
builders
fact
to
that
build.
this
When
guy's
we
talking
take the
regulation
restrictions
could
away,
take away from
builders
Hilton.
build homes. We do not have a land problem in California. We have a management problem. We have a government
Gustavo,
problem
that was
that
you.
we
I didn't know
absolutely
what
must
was
take
going
away.
on.
The
Someone in my
restrictions,
chat
the
was
big
saying they
ones, all the
misbonded
regulations, but
billionaire.
CEQA, Coastal Commission,
But
CARB,
I saw that
all
early
of
on,
those
too.
on our building and
I saw that in
building
the book, and
industry
I was like,
will be
did I miss
removed.
this? Is
Mr.
it getting
Bianco,
farmed?
thank you. Mr. Hilton, same question to
All
you.
right,
You
here
have
comes
60 seconds.
regulation right here.
Well, if San Jose is the template for housing affordability in California, God help us. It was just rated the least affordable city for housing
Matt's
in
getting
the world.
attacked here by
That is
Hilton.
completely the wrong answer. The right answer is my plan, which was the first plan that I put forward in this campaign. Number one, we have to end this outrageous hidden tax on housing. They call it impact fees. It can add up to 20% to the cost of a home. Secondly, we have to reduce the extreme environmental regulations that make it 3 or 4
Environmental
times as
regulations.
expensive
There we
to
go.
build
All
the
right.
exact
I knew it
same
was
home
okay. We
in
had some
California
housing.
as in neighboring
That was
states.
the last thing
Number
we
three,
needed on
we
this
have
guy.
to end the
We'll
exploitative
take it.
union lawsuits that are filed to block housing, that extract project labor agreements that make the cost so much higher. And number four, we have to end the war on single-family homes so that we can build the housing we need for young families. We need more starter homes in California.
Mr. Hilton, thank you. Mr. Mahan, I'll give you 15 seconds to respond to Mr.
Yeah,
Hilton.
thanks. San Jose has been the most expensive city in the country since before I was born because of all the jobs created there. I know that because my parents had to move 50 miles away, even though my mom grew up there, just to afford to buy a home. What I did as mayor, though, was take ownership of the problem, unlike all the talk you're hearing on this stage. We reduced fees, sped up permitting, and now we have thousands of
Mr.
homes
Mahan.
under construction.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Steyer, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
Look, the biggest problem in California is that Californians can't afford to live here, and the number one problem there is housing. And I've seen people who have full-time jobs who are still having to live in their car. But if we're going to solve the housing problem, and I've said we'll build 1 million units, it's not a silver bullet the way some of these people are suggesting. It's silver buckshot. Yes, we have to shorten permitting and make it less expensive. We made a first step on it last year. We'll make more. 2, we have to redo zoning so that we build denser and around public transportation. 3, we need to actually drop the cost per square foot of building. There are ways to do it. Industrial construction away from site and then putting it together on the site drops the cost per square foot by 1/3. And lastly, one of the biggest reasons it's hard to build houses here is the cities and counties don't want it because they can't afford to take care of the people who are in the houses. I've said on day one, I'll call for a special election to close a corporate tax loophole. That will fund it. That will get the cities and counties on our side. The realtors are mad at me. They're fighting me. But that's the only way we drive down housing costs for the people of California.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, same question to you. What is your plan to lower the cost of housing? You have 60 seconds.
Housing is personal to me. I've sat across from thousands of Californians who are facing eviction or foreclosure. When I served the state of California for 3 years under then Attorney General, now former Vice President Kamala Harris, and I held the big banks' feet to the fire for predatory lending. I've also questioned CEOs of big banks about how the huge slice that housing takes out of their paycheck. Housing has been my #1 issue since I launched this race, and I have the deepest background in housing policy of any candidate on this stage. The key is to build faster. If we built at the same speed in California as states like Colorado, we could take 10 or 20% off the cost of housing. That's real money back in families' pockets. It's not a couple bucks, it's hundreds of dollars. I just want to comment, Mr. Becerra, you have all these lovely plans, but there are never any numbers, any revenue plan, any details, anything that pushes on the status quo. It's just all do, but the how, the why, the how much, it's all missing.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Becerra, I'll give you 15 seconds to respond to Ms. Porter's comments.
Wow, now
that's very rich to hear from someone who's never had to actually run a government. I have had to balance 4 budgets over the course of my time as Secretary of Health and Human Services. A budget, by the way, that was larger than the budget of the state of California.
Well, 23,
when I was Attorney General of the state of California, I had a fight, whether it was a corporate
plus or minus
attempt to try to take advantage of Californians, or whether it was the Trump administration. I got in and I filed lawsuits. They weren't frivolous lawsuits. I won most of my cases because I knew how to put down the details and the facts.
So
it's easy to say you haven't done this. It's easier to prove that you actually have.
May I respond?
Mr. Becerra, Ms. Porter, we have to move on. We have a lot of questions that our viewers have for us next, and Frank is going to move on to those because we have a lot to cover in little time.
We want to turn to some viewer questions that we assigned at random to each of you in a random draw. Mr. Becerra, we're actually going to begin with you. Ashley from Paris wants to know, what is one specific cost, gas, groceries, utilities, childcare, that you will lower in your first year, and exactly how will you do it? You have 30 seconds.
Ashley, one of the things that I will do immediately is I will freeze utility rates and I will freeze home insurance policy premiums, because I believe it is time that Californians had an understanding of why so many of them are paying so much for both of those charges that they have when they have a home. It is time for us to get behind the curtain and understand why these industries are charging Californians so much, and in some cases dropping Californians from their insurance policy without explanation, charging twice as much. It is time for us to freeze those so Californians benefit.
Mr. Becerra, thank you. Mr. Bianco, you get the next question. This is Greg from Placerville, who wants to know, what is your position on automatic license plate readers, flock safety systems, and broader issues of mass surveillance? You have 30 seconds.
He's going to be like...
So I'm a huge proponent of flock camera systems, and not flock, but the type that the ALPRs for law enforcement. They have been a game changer for law enforcement. It's not about the misconception. I want to ensure him, we don't know you're driving the car from those license plate readers. They read license plates, that's it. And we were able to
this
find
was a question
criminals
coded just for
who
Bianco,
use
to be
vehicles for
fair.
that.
Mr. Bianco,
They
thank
ask
you.
him the
Mr.
most,
Hilton,
like,
you get the next
schizo
question. This is
conspiracy
Carlos
questions.
from Los Angeles, who wants to know, what are you going to do for California schools? You have 30 seconds.
Oh, school
It's an
question.
absolute scandal that we have just under half of our students can read at grade level. For math, it's 35%. Here's the plan. We're going to learn from what works in other states and around the world. The best way to teach kids to read, phonics. We're going to have that in every school.
Phonics?
The most
Wait,
important
I remember
thing is that you learn to
phonics.
read by the end of 3rd grade. Just as Mississippi has done, we're going to make sure
They
we're
got
going to
rid
give
of
you help over
phonics?
the summer if you can't. But if you don't meet the test, you repeat the grade, and then you can move forward. And we're going to hold teachers and schools
I know.
accountable
Mr. Hilton.
for their performance.
Thank you very much. Nikki?
Mr. Steyer, Sophia from Folsom wants to know, what is your stance on remote work? You have 30 seconds.
So remote work is
What a weird
enabling people
question.
not to make these huge commutes. And it is a way for us to save money. It is a way to keep people off the roads. So I am a supporter of remote work, period. But let me say this as someone who has run lots of organization and lots of teams. There's reasons to be in the office
man, I
that
should've
involve
taken
human
more
interaction,
notes.
that involve mentoring, that involve the growth of young people. So when you're running
There's
an
so many good
organization,
notes in some of
yes,
these.
you have to take into account costs, but more than that, you have to account for
Mr.
the
Steyer,
human growth
Mr.
of a
Steyer,
culture and a
thank you.
team.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Ms. Porter, Toby from Costa Mesa wants to know, do you agree with schools not notifying parents if their child identifies as a different gender? You have 30 seconds.
It is between a parent and a child when a
Teacher
child
angle,
chooses
maybe?
to have that conversation. The job of our educators is to
educators?
teach them to read by 3rd grade. That is a really
Educator,
important
not
benchmark
teachers?
to help them make the jump from Algebra 1 to Algebra 2, which opens the door to higher paying jobs. These are conversations for kids and parents to have with each other and their healthcare providers. This is not a role for schools to be policing personal decisions.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, John
Oh,
Carlo
wow.
from
Teacher
Los
went all the way
Angeles
back
asked
down to
this.
32.
How would you communicate with Donald Trump if he attacks you directly or policies valued in California? You have 30 seconds.
Well, just as I've done as mayor of San Jose, when the Trump administration threatens California's people, our funding, our values, I'll fight back. We'll use the courts. In San Jose, we've sued this administration over a dozen times. We've funded legal services for our immigrant neighbors. We have used every tool at our disposal. But I will also find ways to invite federal agencies to help us rebuild LA, reduce fire risk. We need a partnership, and we need to find common
Probably
ground
like 15 minutes.
with this
15, 20
administration on
minutes
certain issues.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Frank.
We'd like to move on to our next question. Many Californians cannot get home insurance anymore, or their premiums have skyrocketed. Insurance companies blame wildfire risk and catastrophic losses. Many have left the state. California's Fair
Wildfires.
Plan, a last resort option, is being swamped and is becoming a crisis for the state. Mr. Bianco, this round begins with you. What is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
Again, we're going to be honest about the problem. The problem is our California state government, is our California state regulations that are affecting the insurance companies. Various regulations affecting the insurance companies, but particularly, they told us why they were leaving.
if they asked this to
told
everyone,
Governor
wildfire
Newsom
has to
for
be-
5 years in a row that they were going to leave if he did not change the environmental policies and protections that prevented
Preordained.
our fire agencies from creating defensible space around our homes, our cities, and our buildings. They told him they were going to lose cities and they couldn't afford to cover it, so they were going to have to leave. So the answer is remove the regulations, let the fire agencies create that defensible space. We are being absolutely controlled by environmental activism in this state that runs every single regulatory board. And as governor, I will remove that special interest from California state government.
Mr. Bianco, thank you for that. Mr. Hilton, what is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
We have to be clear about why they left. They left because of Democrat policies and wrong-headed regulation. Now, some of those mistakes have been corrected.
Another
the ability for
regulation.
insurance companies to price in future risk, the ability of insurance companies to account for reinsurance costs. But we still have wrong regulation. And this is the 3-point plan that I've announced to fix this absolutely massive
guy is
problem
not
that is
saying Trump.
crushing so many families across California. Number one, we've got to get people off the FAIR plan. It was designed for about 100,000 people. Now you've got over 600,000. We've got to work proactively to get those people onto commercial insurance. Number two, we have to stick to the regulatory framework that was in the original proposition that set up the insurance department. 60 days to approve rate changes. Sometimes now it's over a year. And number three, we have to stop these nuisance lawsuits
So this is the
often
guy
filed by
that-
private equity from out of state that are increasing the cost of insurance.
All right, Mr. Hilton, thank you. Mr. Steyer, what is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
Well, skyrocketing home insurance is one of the huge problems facing California
This
homeowners.
is a climate
And it's a
potential.
result of catastrophic fires and houses being burnt down, and therefore insurance companies wanting to get paid for that risk. What California needs to do is reduce that risk.
Catastrophic fires,
We need to
not
reduce the risk of
wildfires.
catastrophic fire. What does that look like? On a macro basis, it looks like controlled burns, reducing dry timber. On a micro basis, it means hardening houses, keeping vegetation 5 feet away, and other things. We can reduce the risk of houses burning in catastrophic fire by 90%. The point is going to be, at
Why
that
does
point,
he
we
say
need
catastrophic fires
the
instead of
insurance
wildfire?
companies
Interesting.
to
He's
start
like
writing home
intentionally-
insurance based on the reduced risk. And it's the job of the governor to insist that they take into account the reduced risk. Insurance companies are lazy. They like to drive by a house and make a decision. When we're hardening houses and reducing risk by 90%, the governor's job is to make sure
Yeah,
that
I
they
played
do
some
the work,
stuff earlier,
that they take
Deep
it
Dish,
into
but
account, and that
yeah, it's
housing
kind of a liquid.
insurance
I'm
goes way
mostly
down.
Mr.
also
Steyer,
interested
thank you. Nikki?
in
Ms.
just
Porter,
covering
what
this
is your
'cause I'm-
plan
I'm
to
from
attract private
California.
insurance companies back
Wow,
to
he dodged
California? You have 60
wildfire.
seconds.
First, I just want to acknowledge that so many who have been affected by wildfires have not received the federal aid that California deserves from the federal government because of Donald Trump. I also want to say, as a consumer protection advocate, I would absolutely hold
But
insurers'
I'm up
feet to
like
the fire to
$300
make
bucks.
sure
Maybe I'll make
they
$300
pay
on
out
this.
damages
But
when
we'll get
homes
more
have been
informed.
burned. I think the
And I'm also
solution is to
looking at
have
the
more
actual
insurance
odds
companies and more
in the race.
competition. But they're going to do that when we have reduced wildfire risk. We cannot afford to not act to reduce wildfire risk. We all lose. Families who lose their homes more than others when we face these kinds of catastrophic wildfires. So fighting climate change and fighting wildfire risk is ultimately how you reduce the number of people who are forced onto a FAIR plan that is unstable and not financially sustainable for taxpayers.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, same question to you. What is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to California? You have 60 seconds.
Well, Nikki, I've walked through the Palisades and Altadena with
See, is
families who
this
have
guy
lost
too low
everything,
energy?
and I've
Is that
seen
it?
firsthand what's broken. As governor, I will
He's
take
so calm and
responsibility
collected.
for ensuring that we better
the
manage
polar
our
opposite
public
of
lands.
Trump.
We have to reduce the fire risk at the edge of our urban areas so we're not putting homeowners at risk. And when you have those catastrophic fires, it pushes up costs for everyone. We need to bring the private insurance market back, force them to compete with one another on value, allow them to appropriately price risk. And when they play games, as we've heard in some cases, of switching adjusters and dragging out the process of paying out claims, they must be held accountable by the state, and I'll make sure we do that.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, what is your plan to attract private insurance companies back to the state of California? You have 60 seconds.
Yeah,
I
Mahan
won't be as
Market would be
lenient
interesting.
as some of the responses you've heard. I
But-
believe that it's time that we get behind the curtain and find out
My
how these
opinion
insurance
on these
companies
markets
are
is they
operating.
should have listed
Because
the
there are still
candidates as
people
props.
in Altadena
That way
and
you could
Pacific
have one
Palisades
market
who
for
have
the
not been
debate,
paid
and
on
then you
their
could have
claims
props for
from back
each,
in January 2025. That is
person.
ridiculous. Every month
I think
they
having
paid their
multiple
premiums.
markets
Some people have
scatters the
never filed a
liquidity too
claim,
much.
yet they,
You know
when
what I
they
mean?
finally filed this claim for these wildfires, they still can't get an answer to the question how much they get and when they'll get it. That is not right. We should hold their feet to the fire. I'll make sure that we take on all the issues of wildfire mitigation. Sure, you have to harden your home. We have to make sure we don't have developers building in high-risk areas. We'll do all those things. But first and foremost, insurers owe those consumers, those people who paid their premiums, responses. They paid their premiums. They are owed a response on their claims. It's ridiculous that people have had to wait more than a year.
Trump's
That is
common
not the way you
collected?
treat a customer.
He just says
Mr.
wild
Becerra,
stuff.
thank you.
Isn't
Frank.
that
We're going to move
contradictory?
on to our next topic, and that is social media and our children. A California
Wow.
jury found Meta and Google negligent, ordering them to pay damages for designing addictive social media that contributed to mental health issues. Would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16 years of age? This is going to go to each one of you. Mr. Hilton, you will go first. You have 30 seconds.
So as the father of 2 teenage children, I know this issue very well. But actually, it's an issue that I've been thinking about and advocating on for many, many years. 11 years ago, in my book, More Human, 2015, that was published, I made the argument that it's not just the apps, it's not just the platforms, it's the screens themselves, and that we should set a social norm that children under 16 should not have a smartphone. That is my position now. I think that every parent in their heart knows that it's wrong. Kids do not need smartphones, and we shouldn't allow it.
So just to clarify, though, on the social media side, yes
By the
or
way,
no,
Porter
banning it
literally
for
said
kids under
billionaire
16?
once at the
I
beginning
think
of
it
this.
misses the point.
Said
honestly.
it one
I
time,
think that we've
and it was
got to get
15
to the
cents
heart
for
of the
1K
problem,
shares. I had
and
like
that's
500.
the devices and the
She
screens.
said it once
All right,
randomly
Mr.
off the cuff.
Hilton, thank
she
you.
could have
Mr.
so
Steyer,
weaved that tonight.
would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16 years of age? You have 30 seconds.
Yes, I would. I've said that publicly. I think it's been clear for a long time
Yeah, they'll
that
get
young
around it,
people
but-
have significant mental
I mean, in
health
general,
issues as a result of
probably a
social
good thing.
media. And we have counted on the companies to police themselves, and that has definitely failed. And let me say that as AI is here, artificial
AI,
intelligence,
it got so
that
low.
is something else which very much
definitely related to
threatens
this,
the safety
man.
and health of our children.
I wish there was more
and it's going to be that is
liquidity,
something
'cause
which
I could've
absolutely
quit.
threatens them. And young people are addicted to their artificial intelligent friends more than their real friends. And so we are going to have
I
to
don't know about
regulate
this
these companies
AI
and have the
friends
courage
thing,
to do
man.
it.
Mr.
Are
Steyer,
they
thank
really?
you. Ms. Porter, would you support a law that bans social media usage for kids under 16? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, as a mom of 3 teenagers, I will say that every kid is different. I definitely have a kid, I won't name him here, who's doing a good job with moderating social media, using it occasionally and in ways that have been helpful. I have another kid who's constantly told to put her device down, and when needed, I take it away. I do think we need to hold companies accountable when their products produce harm. If they're producing addiction, if they're failing to moderate inappropriate conduct, then we absolutely should hold them accountable. But those problems affect both kids particularly, but also adults.
And just to clarify, and forgive me if I missed it, but hold accountable or ban the usage for kids under 16?
I would not ban under 16. I might consider a different ban, but I also want to recognize that as a parent, it's an opportunity for families to make choices and have conversations about technology that these kids will see their whole lives.
Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, would you support a law that bans
Doesn't want to
social
ban under
media
16.
usage for kids under 16 years of age? You have 30 seconds.
What I would do is require parental consent for children
Oh,
under
good
16
answer.
to be able to use social media. I
But
would also
also,
ban
like,
cell phone use during
you
the
naturally need
academic
parental
day in
consent.
public schools all the way through high school. I think it's
Don't you naturally
destructive
need
to
parental consent?
give kids products that their brains aren't fully developed and able to use safely. And so I would put those restrictions in place. I think parents should have ultimate control in this situation. My wife and I are raising 2 little kids. They're 8 and 6 years old. We limit screen time.
Mr. Mahan, same clarification. You say require parental consent. Are you yes or no on banning it under the age of 16?
The reason I would require parental consent under 16 is that there are lots of educational tools that may have social components that might connect students. There could be applications that make sense, but parents should have control over those decisions.
Right. Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra,
Such a
would
good
you
answer.
support a law
Oh, God,
that
this
bans
guy.
social media usage for kids under 16? 30
He's
seconds.
so prepared.
Addiction is dangerous. Yes, I would absolutely work with legislators to make sure we can enact such a law. Kids have died as a result of their use of social media. Kids are going into this spiral downhill where they're not doing
Yeah, he
anything
kinda
but
does. He's a little
playing
too-
with their phone. It is time for us
But
to
it's
act.
just his
and I will
answers
tell
are
you, as a
very
former
crisp.
attorney
If you're
general,
just
I will
going based
enforce
off
that
of
law to
substance.
make sure we are able to manage our children's
I'm so
development
surprised
over the lifespan.
none of these other
and what I will
idiots
tell you is this,
decided to
we
say
also have to
parental
help those
consent.
families
Think
that
of
are trying to
how
manage their kids'
happy
use of these
viewers
types of
are
devices.
that are
Mr.
parents
Becerra,
when,
thank you. Mr.
when,
Bianco, would you
politicians
support a
say
law that
parental
bans
consent? That makes them feel
social
good about
media
themselves.
usage for kids under 16? You have 30 seconds.
No, that's up to their parents. I think it's interesting that drugs create mental illness too, and yet California Democrats have made drugs legal in California, but now we're going to ban social media because it creates a mental health issue for kids under 16. We know it creates mental health issues for adults. Social media is not a good thing for us to be spending 12 hours a day on, but it is up to parents what they want to do with their kids. It's not up to the government to tell them what their kids are going to do. And I agree, there are far too many educational benefits to these platforms than there are dangers, but it's up to parents.
All right. Mr. Bianco, thank you. Nikki?
Time's winding down, so as we like to say in TV, we're going to switch gears and ask a bit of a lighter question so people watching can get to know you
All
on more
right,
of a
lighter
personal level.
questions.
Keep your answers a bit short here, but since we're on a streaming platform now, we want to know, what was the last streaming show that you watched? Mr. Steyer, we'll start with you.
I think the last streaming show I saw was probably Marshall's.
Marshall, streaming
It
show
was,
of Marshall,
you know,
okay.
Yep.
Ms. Porter, last streaming show that you watched.
I took a lot of heat from my kids for this, but I was watching Heated Rivalry.
Okay. Ms. Porter, thank you. Mr. Mahan, last streaming show that you watched.
It's the one with Kerry Russell. I think it's called The Diplomat,
The
or
Diplomat.
something. The Diplomat. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Mr. Mahan, thank you. Mr. Becerra, last streaming show that you watched.
I wish I could tell you that I have time to watch streaming shows. I can't tell you that I'm much of a TV watcher.
All right, Mr. Becerra, thank you.
Terrible
Mr.
answer.
Bianco,
Pick
last streaming
something.
show that you watched.
I don't stream and I don't watch TV.
Okay.
Oh,
Mr.
you watched
Bianco, thank
Destiny
you.
stream?
Mr. Hilton, last streaming show that you watched.
We're in the
I
middle
used
of
to
it
watch
right
a
now.
lot of
Reacher.
Destiny, I'm not gonna lie.
One of my sons really enjoys that, probably more than the rest of us in the family. But it's been good fun to watch together.
Mr. Hilton, thank you.
Thanks to all of you. Thanks to our candidates for being here this evening. And we want to say that, oh, I'm sorry, did we not
Yes.
ask someone?
Yes. No,
Okay, we're ready
everybody
to go.
got their
I
answer
thought
in.
we missed someone. We want to make sure we know what you're streaming. That wraps up our debate for tonight. We want to invite you to
All
stay
right.
tuned for the spin room that's happening right here in the studio live after the break. So stay tuned for that.
And
Look,
we want to
Cole
remind
Harbor,
everyone
I
at
know
home,
you're- I
ballots
know.
for the California primary election, they start
I
going
don't
out
believe
very
it
soon
anymore.
on May 4th. And of course,
These are all
Election
li-
Day
you're making
is
this
on
stuff
June
up.
2nd. We thank you for watching.
All right, well, that was a lot of fun. Overall, I probably think Mahan was the big winner. But I mean, not much changed. I mean, Becerra just kind of came down. Oh, I didn't check. Wait, let me check my DMs. I'll see what you sent me. You still streaming? Yeah, I'm almost done. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, Mahan's the only one that really moved up. Becerra, Mahan. My sister tells me she likes Mahan for whatever reason. But yeah, he sounded well. I mean, but if you look at the actual polling data, he's like has not been polling well. So, but look, I'm gonna give my pick, my winner, to Mahan. I think he won the debate, but he's a little too low energy, I think, to maybe win this thing. But we'll see. I mean, he's got to do something to. I mean, he won in San Jose, but San Jose is maybe more like, I don't know, like of a intelligent voter base, or a voter base that's more like wanting to be pragmatic or something. But ladies and gentlemen, overall we did fine on these debates. There wasn't that much liquidity, but we ended up, I think net we made maybe like $400. Or let's see, Made like 400 right around there. We'll take it. Pretty not the biggest markets, but still cool to watch as a California native. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow for Trump. Trump thankfully has open press events tomorrow, so we won't need to watch these small debates. We'll be back. Take care. I know we were the only ones. We were just clicking KT, but we'll take it. We made